City Bar and Grill. Thank you, Brick City, for having us here. We are marking another beginning, and it relates back to a beginning that happened a very long time ago. And I personally find this to be very interesting and auspicious. Most of you probably weren't even born yet, but a long time ago we used to have fights at a place in Totowa, New Jersey called Ice World. It was a hockey rink. In fact, there was a new hockey team that used to practice there called the New Jersey Devils. And we started putting fights on there in I guess 1979 and 1980. Very quickly after that, ESPN came in and started broadcasting some of those fights. And when we were doing it, that was kind of how our business started. My children were not born yet. The world was very different and young. We had no idea where we were headed, although we really wanted to reach the top. And my late husband Dan, became the promoter there. I learned how to become a publicist there. We sold 3,000 tickets to each fight. It turned into, for a few years, a true phenomenon on the national scene in boxing. I was researching for this press conference and for a press release that went out ahead of it a few days ago, and as I was looking through the box rec and seeing the cards that took place there in those years, there were people who fought on those undercards who made it to the very top. They included Mark Breland, who became, of course, a great amateur background and became an Olympic gold medal winner and New York Golden Gloves winner and world champion, who still occasionally works with Main Events, training fighters. Rocky Lockridge, Bobby Ches, Livingstone Bramble, Caitlin Thomas, Buddy McGirt, Tracy Harris Patterson, John Molina, Robert Hines, Leo Randolph, Vinny Pazienza. Every single one of them became a world champion. There were others who didn't become world champions, but some of you might remember. Alex Ramos, Chuck Wepner, Mike Quarry, Christy Elliott, Curtis Harris, James Hardrock Green, Ramon Ronquillo, Hilliard Edmonds Jr., Francisco Damiani, and Scott Frank. All became legends in their own right, one way or another, certainly locally, if not nationally. And my favorite was a guy named Bruce the Mouse Strauss, who was more famous for losing fights than winning them, but nevertheless did it very well. His appearances were probably more memorable than some of those others. The reason why this means the reason why I'm bringing this up today, and the reason why we're talking about this, is that for the first time we are going to put a fight in Prudential Center's AmeriHealth Pavilion. The AmeriHealth Pavilion is the place where the Devils practice. Coincidentally, Jeff Vanderbeek, the owner of the Devils, actually told me when I first met him that he was a youth hockey coach. He used to come to Ice World and coach teams when he was just getting his start as well. There are a lot of wonderful parallels here. When you walk into the AmeriHealth Pavilion, when it's not set up for a fight, at least it's almost eerie to those of us who were in Ice World. It looks exactly the same. Bleachers on one side, the ice rink in the middle, and we're going to have a ring in the middle of the ice rink. We're going to have seats on the floor. Wear warm shoes. And it's my one piece of advice from the old days. And it's kind of, I think there's a lot there's going to be a lot of parallels. I think sitting around me today are some people who are going to perhaps be on a list like this that gets read someday in another place and time. Potential world champions here, and one other gentleman who coincidentally is here, and I take it as a sign that some things are just meant to be, and that is Louisa, who is on the list of notable fighters who fought at Ice World. He's here with a young fighter who's turning pro on this card, and I think we're going to get a chance to have Lou tell us a little later about what it was like to actually fight there. And he will be, I guess, the one person who's going to be kind of that's going to tie us from those days and bring us into the new times. And so, of course, the main event is going to feature Zab Judah versus Kaizer Mabuza. The fight is for the World Junior Welterweight Championship of the IBF. It's a very, very important, very significant fight. But today, Zab is in Las Vegas training. Jolene Mazzone from our staff is there with him. His trainer is Pernell Whitaker, another name from the past who never actually got to fight at Ice World, but used to go there a lot. And that's all working out very nicely. But today we're here to talk about the undercard. And so, to begin, we have several people here who are going to be fighting on this card. And before we get to them, I think I want to bring up Michael from Prudential Center, who is going to tell us all about Prudential Center and their involvement in this. Michael.
Thank you so much. I guess on behalf of Main Events and Prudential Center and all of our partners and sponsors for this tremendous event, we want to thank you for coming today. And, from folks who hadn't experienced yet Brick City Boxing Series fight, they've been really a lot of fun and tremendous entertainment, and in particular this will be unique. This will be really our first ticketed event at the AmeriHealth Pavilion at Prudential Center. It's attached to the arena, so no worries there. And because of that, even more of an intimate, exciting setting for all of the fun stuff that's going to happen. And it's great that Kathy alluded to the great history of undercards that we've had with Main Events and other locations, the Ches and Molinas, and we have Mr. Pagan, Ali, two of many talented fighters we'll see that night, as well as, of course, the main card. So just as a reminder for all of us here, of course you can buy tickets now at Prudential Center box office, which is on the Edison Place and Mulberry Street side of the building, but also, of course, online and over the phone via Ticketmaster. And I look forward to this very much, particularly it being a unique setting for this, first time for us as well. So thanks, and we hope to see you.
Thank you much. Before the undercard starts, just so everybody knows, you really should come and see the whole thing. There was a show at Ice World once where Bobby Ches, Livingstone Bramble, and Cleveland Thomas all fought on the same card in the undercard. And a month later, Buddy McGirt showed up, and he made his Ice World debut. So you never know who it's going to be and what you're going to see. So we have some fantastic people for you to get to know today. Some new faces, some that you've seen before. And before actually we get into that, one other note, you're going to see that there is a low ticket price here that is designated a standing room. People should not be afraid of that ticket. What we've done is we're setting up bars at both ends of the ring rather than have people sitting. We notice people like to stand up a lot of the time anyway. So those seats are actually opportunities for people to kind of mingle around. There are going to be bar tables at the two ends of the rink, and it'll be kind of a very nice social place to be. So those are just to, I think we need to explain that a little bit to people to make them understand. Once they come once, they're going to see it, and I think that's what people are going to want to be. But for the first time, as I said, don't shy away from it. So we'll start first with people that aren't here today, and I'm disappointed he wasn't able to make it because I think he may be the first to become a world champion of this group, just because he's been at it longer. His name is Tarvis Marvelous Sims. He signed with Main Events recently and is a middleweight contender who we are trying to move into a title fight, hopefully in the very near future. Tarvis is 26-1-1 for 11 knockouts. He will be fighting on the card. He wasn't able to make it today because of transportation, but he will certainly be here in the morning. Let's start with our newest Ice World fighter, and he is traveling here all the way from South Korea. His name is Dong-Chul Yun. He has already made a name for himself in South Korea, and he is making his U.S. debut here against Joselito Collado. Dong does not speak English, but he has brought Jane Cho here with him to translate. So, Dong,